As we enter the main foyer here in the main house at Neverland, this was a room where Michael Jackson would greet his closest friends, and it was a room filled with artwork. These walls had huge
17 years after Michael Jackson's passing, Neverland Ranch still doesn't feel like an ordinary property. It feels more like a frozen memory, a place trapped between history and legend that refuses to fade away. And now, in an unexpected twist, the estate has found its way back into public conversation once again. Not because it changed ownership. Not because it returned to the market. But because Hollywood came knocking on its gates once more. In 2024, production crews working on the upcoming Michael Jackson biopic used the iconic ranch as a filming location, pulling the property back into the spotlight and reminding the world that Neverland remains one of the most fascinating, controversial, and talked about estates in pop culture history.
Down the stairs, and here is the master bedroom. You have the kitchen here, which is absolutely huge, just a beautiful kitchen. Dining room, and the other dining table was over here. Check out this. It goes virtually forever. In here, and you can go, and there's a small door that goes this way into somewhere else, which is a very small place. I think maybe...
Today, the property is known as Sycamore Valley Ranch, and it sits under private ownership after billionaire Ron Burkle acquired it in 2020 for $22 million following years of decline and uncertainty. That price alone tells a remarkable story about how dramatically the estate's fortunes changed over time. Michael Jackson originally purchased the ranch in 1988 for approximately $17 million, before investing an estimated $35 million more into transforming it into something far beyond a traditional residence. His vision was to create a world that blended imagination, wonder, nostalgia, and escape into a single extraordinary destination. Over the years, the estate became known for its massive 13,000-square-foot French country-style mansion, its scenic lake, private train station, movie theater, and amusement park-inspired attractions. What began as a sprawling ranch in Santa Barbara County eventually evolved into one of the most recognizable private properties in America, carrying not only immense cultural significance, but also a powerful emotional legacy that continues to spark conversation decades later.
Off in another bedroom is this room, which is interesting because, look, it's a soundproof door. Listen to the sound. It's fantastic in here. And now we go to Disneyland, or what Michael recreated to look like Disneyland, the famous train station. Now, inside the train station, it's quite remarkable. A huge bank of monitors, and also probably pastries and things like that for people waiting to get on the train. A fully functioning train.
That is because Neverland was never simply a home to Michael Jackson. It was a symbol, a vision, and in many ways a reflection of how he saw the world. The name itself came from Peter Pan's Neverland, the fictional place where growing old never happens, and that decision revealed a great deal about what the estate represented to him. For Jackson, the ranch appeared to be more than a luxury property. It was an attempt to recreate a sense of wonder and innocence he often said had been missing from his own childhood. That is why the estate evolved into something far different from the typical celebrity mansion. Instead of focusing solely on wealth or status, it became a sprawling fantasy landscape complete with a Ferris wheel, petting zoo, private rail system, and storybook-like gardens designed to blur the line between reality and imagination. Every corner seemed built to transport visitors into another world. It was never intended to impress nearby homeowners or compete with other luxury estates. It was created to feel magical, unforgettable, and completely unlike any place people had ever seen before.
Some depicting Michael Jackson in whimsical or magical situations. He also loved all kinds of art. There were statues everywhere. One of the statues that I was told was located right here was of a butler with a tray with cookies on it, so he would welcome people in that way. At the other end of the foyer down here, there was a huge clock, a two-sided marble clock that was so heavy that workers had to come here to Neverland Ranch and actually reinforce the floor here so that that clock would not fall through to the basement below. Now, from the foyer, we can take a couple of steps down into the main living room. This was filled with couches and chairs and rugs, and in this corner here, there was a grand piano. On the top of the grand piano, there were dozens of photographs, framed photographs of Michael and his family members and his friends, and they would just line the entire top of the...
And the scale of it all was almost unbelievable. Neverland Ranch featured a 50-seat private movie theater, a 4-acre lake complete with a waterfall, basketball and tennis courts, multiple guest houses, a barn, a fire station, a carousel, and carefully designed landscaping that gave the train station and surrounding gardens the feel of a storybook attraction. At its peak, the estate was also home to a petting zoo filled with llamas, chimpanzees, and a variety of other animals, along with a full-size train that traveled throughout the property. For people who only remember Neverland through the controversies and headlines, it is easy to overlook just how extraordinary the estate actually was. Every detail seemed designed to create wonder on a massive scale. This was not simply a celebrity spending money on luxury features for attention. It was something much more personal. In many ways, Michael Jackson appeared to be building an entire world inspired by imagination, nostalgia, and the childhood experiences he often felt had been taken from him long before he ever became a global icon.
Across the room over here, this was interesting, next to the fireplace that he loved to use when he was entertaining guests, there was a pedestal here. On top of the pedestal was...
But every fairy tale eventually reaches its turning point, and for Neverland Ranch, that moment arrived in dramatic fashion. In 2005, following his highly publicized trial, Michael Jackson walked away from the property that had once represented his greatest dream, and he never returned. What had once been a symbol of imagination, wonder, and escape gradually became linked in the public mind to something very different. After the 2003 police raid and the intense media attention that followed, the ranch found itself at the center of relentless scrutiny. The headlines changed, the atmosphere shifted, and the place that had once felt magical became increasingly associated with controversy, legal battles, and isolation. As the years passed, Neverland seemed less like a fantasy world and more like a monument to one of the most turbulent chapters in Jackson's life, carrying a complicated legacy that continues to spark debate even today. Interview 607, 656. By the time Michael Jackson passed away in 2009, Neverland Ranch had already transformed into something far larger than a residence. It was no longer simply the place where he lived, it had become a symbol, suspended somewhere between legend and controversy, memory and reality. Long before his death, the property's image had become deeply intertwined with the challenges, scrutiny, and public battles that defined some of the most difficult years of his life. As a result, Neverland gradually stopped being viewed as just an estate and started being seen as a reflection of Jackson's complicated legacy itself. That is one of the reasons the ranch continues to fascinate people today. No matter how much time passes, separating the story of Neverland from the story of Michael Jackson remains almost impossible. The two became permanently connected, turning the property into a place where nostalgia, mystery, triumph, and controversy all seem to exist at the same time. Interview 714, 811. After Michael Jackson walked away, the slow transformation of Neverland Ranch began. In 2008, he defaulted on a $24.5 million loan connected to the property, marking the start of a difficult new chapter for the estate. Following his death, many of the features that had once defined Neverland's identity began disappearing. Under the management of Colony Capital, major attractions were removed, including elements of the petting zoo and amusement park that had made the ranch feel unlike any other private property in the world. What makes this part of the story so haunting is that the change did not happen overnight. The magic was not lost in a single moment, it was gradually taken apart piece by piece. The estate wasn't simply growing older, it was being reshaped, stripped back, and transformed into something entirely different. The fantastical world that had once captured global attention slowly gave way to a more conventional reality. Even more striking is what happened to some of the attractions themselves. Reports later revealed that several amusement rides were sold and eventually appeared at fairs and entertainment venues throughout California, Oregon, and Washington, while others found permanent homes at locations such as Coney Island and Beach Bend Park. In many ways, that detail perfectly reflects the larger story of Neverland. What was once part of Michael Jackson's deeply personal dream became scattered across the country, separated into fragments, and given new lives elsewhere. It's almost poetic when you think about it. The estate's magic didn't disappear, it drifted away in pieces, carrying small parts of Neverland's legacy far beyond the gates where it all began. Interview 914, 10 o'clock. Then came one of the most dramatic chapters in the property's history, the long decline in its market value. In 2015, Neverland Ranch was placed on the market with a staggering $100 million asking price. But as the years passed, that figure continued to fall. First it dropped to $67 million, then to $31 million, before billionaire Ron Burkle ultimately purchased the estate in 2020 for just $22 million. That sale remains one of the most remarkable real estate stories connected to Michael Jackson's legacy because it revealed how profoundly time, public perception, and years of uncertainty had affected the property's worth. For an estate that had once been transformed with such extraordinary vision and expense, the final sale price surprised many observers. It felt less like the purchase of a legendary landmark and more like a strategic investment in land, closing the book on a lengthy and highly public decline. Yet the story did not end there. Despite its reduced value, the ranch was far from forgotten. By 2022, county records and official confirmations showed that restoration efforts were underway, including permits for roofing, electrical upgrades, and repairs to existing structures throughout the property. Reports described ongoing activity across the sprawling 2,700-acre estate as work crews moved in and out carrying out improvements. Those developments matter because they signal that Neverland is no longer a neglected relic frozen in time. Instead, it has become a carefully maintained private property whose remaining buildings are being preserved and restored. While the public may never again experience the ranch firsthand, the estate continues to evolve behind closed gates, quietly writing a new chapter long after the world assumed its story was over. Interview 1101-1123. What makes Neverland Ranch's recent revival even more fascinating is that the estate has unexpectedly become part of Hollywood once again, not as a memory, but as an active filming location. In 2024, production permits revealed that work on the upcoming Michael Jackson biopic included dialogue scenes, petting zoo sequences, and stunt filming on the property itself. According to reports, film crews arrived at the ranch and temporarily brought fresh activity back to a place that had spent years sitting largely out of public view. In a strange twist of fate, the estate built by Michael Jackson became a backdrop for a movie telling his story. Yet that return to the spotlight also pulled Neverland directly into one of the most complicated creative challenges surrounding the project. Early versions of the biopic reportedly included scenes connected to the 1993 investigation involving the ranch, and portions of that material were filmed before legal concerns forced major changes. As a result, certain scenes could no longer be used, requiring the production to alter part of its storytelling approach. That created an extraordinary irony. Neverland was simultaneously serving as a real filming location, while also becoming the very place where the filmmakers encountered limits on what parts of the story they could portray. For a property already surrounded by decades of fascination, controversy, and symbolism, it was yet another unexpected chapter in an already remarkable history. And that twist matters because Neverland was never just scenery. It represented a deeply personal vision created by Michael Jackson, a place where imagination, privacy, control, and escape all existed side by side. He designed it as a refuge from the pressures of global fame, yet over time it became inseparable from the very attention he hoped to escape. The ranch stood as a symbol of innocence and wonder for some, while for others it became linked to larger questions about his legacy. That contradiction is precisely why people remain captivated by it today. Neverland is not simply a famous property. It is a physical reflection of one of the most complex, debated, and unforgettable stories in modern pop culture history. Interview 1256-1304. The sheer scale of the property only deepens that sense of mystery and fascination. Recent reports describe Neverland Ranch as a sprawling 2,700-acre estate centered around a massive Normandy-style main residence, and surrounded by land that once contained as many as 22 separate structures. At its peak, those grounds included attractions ranging from a zoo and amusement rides to elaborate landscaping features, including displays that famously spelled out the word Neverland itself. It is the kind of enormous scale that makes it difficult to view the estate as an ordinary home. Even decades later, long after many of the original attractions have disappeared or been transformed, the property still feels larger than life. The vast open land, the remaining buildings, and the history attached to every corner combine to create something that resembles a self-contained universe more than a private residence. That is part of what continues to set Neverland apart from other celebrity estates. Even in its quieter form, the ranch still carries the feeling of a place designed to be experienced as an entire world rather than simply a house where someone lived. Interview 1335-1422. And that world has undergone a remarkable transformation over the years. Where roller coasters, attractions, and elaborate displays once stood, only fragments of that original vision remain. The private dream that Michael Jackson spent years creating was gradually divided, scattered, and absorbed into different corners of public memory. That is the story of Neverland Ranch after his death. The estate was not simply left behind and forgotten. Instead, it was carefully dismantled, reconfigured, sold, restored in parts, and slowly given a new purpose. What makes Neverland so fascinating in 2026 is that it exists at the crossroads of multiple stories simultaneously. It is a former celebrity residence, a cultural landmark, a symbol tied to legal and public controversies, a one-time amusement park, a Hollywood filming location, and a massive private estate that continues to be maintained by an owner who clearly sees value in its future. Few properties carry that many identities at once. That unique combination explains why the ranch continues to appear in news stories, why longtime fans remain captivated by it, and why younger generations keep discovering it whenever a documentary, film, or major discussion brings Michael Jackson back into the spotlight. It also explains why Neverland remains one of the most emotionally charged pieces of his legacy. The estate was originally imagined as a place of wonder, imagination, protection, and escape. Yet over time, it became one of the most examined and debated private properties in modern celebrity culture. Jackson built it as a physical expression of the world he carried in his mind. The public, however, transformed it into something else entirely, a place associated with memories, controversy, speculation, symbolism, and eventually cinema itself. That extraordinary journey, from dream to scrutiny to restoration, is what continues to give Neverland its lasting power. Even today, it remains perhaps Michael Jackson's most visible and ambitious attempt to turn an emotion, an idea, and a lifelong longing into a real place that people still cannot stop talking about. Interview 1540, 1636. And that is ultimately what makes Neverland Ranch so unforgettable. The story was never only about Michael Jackson's wealth, global fame, or the controversies that followed him throughout his life. At its core, it was about something far more personal, the dream he created in an attempt to escape all of those things. It was a vision shaped by a childhood he often felt had been interrupted, a fantasy so ambitious that it eventually grew beyond the boundaries of a private estate and became part of cultural history itself. What makes Neverland so compelling is that it still feels unfinished. Even decades later, long after Jackson's passing and long after the property stopped functioning as the magical world he originally imagined, the estate continues to carry an unusual presence. It feels suspended between past and present, memory and reality, legend and history. That lingering feeling is part of why people remain fascinated by it. When you look at Neverland Ranch today, you are not simply looking at a mansion or a large piece of land. You are looking at the remains of an entire private universe, a place built from imagination, longing, and the desire to transform hardship into wonder. The attractions may be gone. The name may have changed. The ownership may belong to someone else. But the story remains woven into every corner of the property. It lives in the landscape, the architecture, and the legacy that still surrounds it. That is why Neverland continues to return to public conversation whenever Michael Jackson's life is revisited. The ranch is still there, still immense, still carrying decades of history, and still capable of capturing attention the moment it appears in a headline. Perhaps that is the most fitting ending of all. For a place inspired by a world that never wanted to grow old or disappear, Neverland has done exactly the same thing. Even now, it refuses to fade from the story. Interview 1744, 1830. Now the question goes to you. When you look at Neverland Ranch today, what do you see? Do you see a dream that became reality, a symbol of a complicated legacy, or something entirely different? Share your thoughts and theories in the comment section below, because this is one story that continues to spark debate no matter how much time passes. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into one of the most fascinating properties in pop culture history, be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next story waiting just around the corner.